You talked about this before, and it's very interesting to me. Okay, rather than post an article, I'll just tell you the only good source. Edgar Cayce, okay? Edgar Cayce, the most famous psychic healer of all time. Look up Edgar Cayce food combination charts. Okay, Google that. Um, the information there is accurate. Now, if you need a modern scientist to show you, you're kind of shit out of luck because modern scientists don't fucking care about your digestive health or anything, nor are they even aware of such concepts themselves. This is very ahead of the curve stuff, and either you're going to have faith in it and try it and find the benefits, or you're not, okay? And for the rest of you that are just going to keep eating all your horrible food combinations and never even make an effort to understand that, use plant-based digestive enzymes. They'll extend your life, they'll improve your health and vitality, your athletic and bodybuilding results will be better, etc. Okay? That's just a win-win. But if you want real information on food combinations that's easy to understand and apply, Google Edgar Cayce food combination or food combinations, okay? That'll get you where you need to go. Much love. Awesome question. I'm glad that's referenced here. Okay. Next question. You want to hear my thoughts on bodybuilders' lat pull downs versus animals and one arm pull ups, and thoughts on increasing punching kicking power. Okay, well, I have a feeling that you and I have talked privately because there's a few people during private consultations that I've acknowledged that I'm going to do a video down the line. It's on my list about one-handed chin-ups and pull-ups, and I'm going to go ahead and throw a flaming can of gasoline all over professional bodybuilders by pointing out how goddamn weak they are, pound for pound. A lot of them can't even do two-handed pull-ups, and the rest of them almost, well, the majority, not all, but a lot of them, they don't even bother trying to do real pull-ups or chin-ups. They sit their fat, bloated, overfed, over-drugged up ass in a chair and do little pull-downs because they can flex and pump those muscles, and all those androgens are going to make them grow anyway. That weak-ass shit. Anyway, real-world functional one-handed pull-up strength makes you a real-world badass. And being 350 pounds of rippling, juiced-up crap that can't even pull yourself up to save your fucking life if you're hanging off the edge of a building or something, what a joke. What a bunch of wasted resources building that big mess of an unfunctional physique. So those are my thoughts. More on that down the line, yes. Okay. Next question. Oh, wait, one more. Increasing punching and kicking power. Okay. Let me think of some exercises that I know from experience really help. First of all, as Bill Kazmaier would say, the way you lift has everything to do with whether you're going to be fast and explosive or slow and pull a plow like a farm animal. In other words, let's say you're doing some band-resisted leg extensions, okay? In order to make your quads fast twitch more powerful, so you have more of a snap to your kick, you want to kick into those bands as fast and hard and accelerate as fast and hard as you can. Squats, same thing. Speed lifting, power lifting, okay? Not powerlifting, because powerlifting's fucking a mislabeled term as far as I'm concerned these days. Anyway, the speed and the explosiveness. Now, one thing I've done is I've held 10-pound dumbbells in my hands and just punched as hard as I can for like 2 minutes straight. What you'll find is your upper back gets extremely sore from that, from having to decelerate all those punches at that speed. It builds upper back mass. And as any good boxing coach could tell you, the strength of your upper back to resist and to pull back from a punch is actually the limiting factor in most guys. Most guys will build their chest a lot going, oh, I'm getting more punching power. But they're weak back here, and your body's smart. It won't let you throw a punch harder than you can decelerate without hurting yourself. So again, what I found, take a couple of 10-pound dumbbells, or if that's too heavy for you, 5s will work great, and just throw fucking hard punches in drills, okay, for like a minute or two straight. It's brutal cardio, and you're going to get sore as shit, and you're going to build upper back mass, and your punching power will be higher. Now, the form and mechanics of your punches are not going to improve from that. You become more stiff and mechanical, but with more force. So you need actual fucking punch and kick training, above all. As with anything, specificity of training is your very best bet. But as far as adding more strength and power in the muscles you use to punch and kick, that you can then convert into punching, kicking, speed, and power while training at punching and kicking. Train the muscles that you know you use for punching and kicking and do the reps in as fast on the positive. You don't have to do this on the negative. You can go slow on the negative to get more hypertrophy. But on the positive of all your reps, explode, okay? Bill Kazmaier was way ahead of his time as a world strongman because in that sport, speed matters. It's not like powerlifting. He understood, and one of the reasons he was such a champ, better than the others, it wasn't always that he was always the stronger guy, but he was faster, okay? He was faster with his power, and that won him a lot of events. And when it comes to punching and kicking, I don't care if you can bench press 5,000 pounds. If you're a big, slow gorilla, you're going to get your ass fucked up in a fight, okay? And if you question that, you're stupid and you have no fight experience. So anyway, those are my tips on that. Moving on. Most optimal meal if you don't do intermittent fasting before a workout for energy and feeling good. I see a lot of people eating rather high fat instead of high carbs and was wondering your take on this. Well, it's a good question. My take on that is that this is, again, one of these things that's so individual, okay? Me personally, I don't want to eat anything before I train. I don't work that way. If I eat anything before I train, it's just an annoyance, having something in my stomach. Now, if you're talking about eating well before you train, if you're the kind of person who responds well to carbs, like you can actually feel a difference in your workouts if you carb load, you might want to carb load 3 hours out from your workout or something. I'm guessing. I'm not one of those people, so I can't even speak from experience. Carbs have never done any noticeable beneficial thing to me ever, except just make me bulkier. So, now other people that are eating the high fat, now I can run on high fat, still be explosive and all these things that defy textbooks because my body's converting these energies and building carbs out of them, doing other things. But I still wouldn't eat a high fat meal before a workout because it's relaxing. And another concept here, oh God, he's going to talk about yin and yang again. Weightlifting is an external yang activity where you're directing your force and power outward. Digestion is a yin inward activity where your energy has to be pulled inward to take care of that process. So if you're digesting anything at the same time you're working out, you're pulling your energies in two opposite directions, which is just, I don't know, fucking dumb. So whatever you decide your body runs well on, my 2 cents would be to consume it far enough before your workout that it's not still in your stomach being digested when you start working out. Because that's just a hindrance to the energy you have for the workout itself. Outside of that, I can't tell you what you should be running on. You have to figure that out about your body. And trust me, people's genetics vary wildly, despite all the agendas out there telling you otherwise, who will forever be arguing with each other because none of them are right. It's an individual thing. There's not some fucking system of diet that needs to be pushed on everybody that's somehow going to work. Doesn't work that way, never has, never will. But welcome to Planet of the Apes, where we keep doing the same insane things that never did work for all eternity, apparently. Yeah. Okay. So that's my take on that. Good question. Next question. How many calories do you consume a day? Currently I'm not counting, and usually I don't count, okay? I just look at my body and I go, which way am I going? Am I getting fatter? Am I getting leaner? Am I getting too much skinnier? And I just add a little bit or subtract a little. I don't count calories because the whole calories in, calories out thing is one of the stupidest fucking ideas on a planet of stupid fucking ideas. There isn't even any nutritionists who actually believe that shit, even though they still teach it because it's in the fucking textbook. If you don't believe me, do an experiment. Find 2 friends that you think are similar to you genetically and in their weight training experience. Put you guys on 3 different diets. One of you gets 4,000 calories of fat per day. One of you gets 4,000 calories of protein per day. One of you gets 4,000 calories of sugar per day. And if you all 3 survive for 1 month doing your workouts, show me that your body composition is all the same when you're done. Boom. Argument solved forever for anybody with, a couple oars they're rowing with. So, I'm not lecturing you, by the way. This is a great question. I'm just making that point that the whole calorie debate, completely fucking retarded. For example, somebody like me who retains mass and gains mass much easier than an ectomorph, I can eat the same amount of calories that the ectomorph right next to me is eating, and I'll get fucking 10 pounds bigger this month, And he might shrink if he works out too often. Okay? Eating the same exact things. If you pay any attention to real world experience, you can see endless examples of this stuff. But most people are too cowardly to even acknowledge the real world, so they just go take it out of a book that some asshole wrote instead and pretend that's real. Next question. Do you still do the coffee in the anus thing? I like your wording there. I can't tell if that's meant to be funny or some kind of a insecure slap to the face. So let me address it both ways. I do coffee enemas every single day of my life, and I will never stop because it is the single most powerful tool I have ever encountered for improving mind, body, spirit, health, and capacity as a human being. And I laugh my ass off at how fucking immature and chicken shit and cowardly and sexually fucking insecure about themselves everybody is, that they, ooh, it's gross and it's weird and it's taboo and ooh. You're missing out. Anybody too chicken shit to try this and get the benefits, that's your fucking problem. Now, I come on and say it openly because I don't give a shit what you think. The world's full of weak-ass people and I don't fucking care. I'm trying to help them. If anybody's willing to try this, you will benefit. You don't have to talk about it out loud like me. You can keep it hidden so all the little insecure retards around you don't have to run their mouth and say predictable shit. But if you will do this for yourself, it's saved people from cancer and every other incurable disease. I don't do it because I'm stopping an incurable disease. I do it because it starts my day off at a much higher vibration and I'm much more productive, and my growth as a person, mind, body, and spirit has been very much enhanced by this. So I will honestly testify to that to anybody out there who's actually mature enough to benefit from it. Next question. Can I fix my scoliosis with one-arm rack pulls? I don't know. Can you? Do you have reasons to believe that might work, and do you believe it'll work? Because if you have real reasons to believe it'll work, and you actually believe it'll work, then yeah, you can. Okay? But I'm not here to tell you what you can and can't do. I refuse to do that, because that's what you've had done to you your whole life, and everybody's bought into it. Reality doesn't work that way unless you let it. You tell me if you can make that work, okay? But I can't give you the courage or the vision to make it work, or the faith. Those things are on you, okay? Could it work? Absolutely. I know there's people out there that could use that and make it work and heal, okay? There's people that could heal without even touching a weight, just using the power of their mind and their intentions and their belief and their expectations. So if this makes sense to you, I'd say go for it and fucking believe in what you're doing so you get good results, okay? How can you fix your uneven hands in terms of size and strength? Well, obviously, quit jerking off so much and use your weak hand. No, you're not giving me a lot to work with there. I mean, common sense says take the weak hand and work it harder, build it up. I don't know what else you want me to say. I don't have some magic spell where if you bow to the east 17 and a half times wearing a blue and purple hat, suddenly your hands are going to match. You got to build up the weaker hand. Unless you get more specific than that, I'm not sure what else you want me to say. May the force be with me. It is, and it is with you as well. Much love to you. Much respect, much appreciation. Next question. Assuming proper form, what is your opinion on the safety of weighted dips? Well, if we're actually assuming proper form, that would be proper form for you. Proper form for you means the form you don't get injured in. Therefore, proper form means it's safe. Ta-da! However, if you don't want a circular philosophical answer like that, what I would tell you in the same thing really in different words, you need to find the hand positioning and the width of grip and everything and the range of motion that is right for your body. My version of a dip is a lot closer to a Vince Gironda dip, it turns out. But up until I saw Vince Gironda, every person that ever saw me do a dip told me I was doing it wrong. Even though I did a weighted dip with 630 fucking pounds, they're telling me I did it wrong, okay? Which, again, that's what losers who aren't doing anything with their reality do, is they tell people who are doing great things they're doing it wrong. My point here is that I use the position that's right for me to do those dips. And it doesn't apply to anybody else because my bone structure is not the same as the next guy. Just like my metabolism's not the same as the next guy. My fucking mindset, nothing is the same as the next guy. So my point is, before I ramble for 20 minutes on a basic question that you made very clearly worded, the right hand positioning for you is what matters, not what somebody else says is the way you should do a dip. And this comes from developing experience and mind-body-spirit connection. You learn how to use each exercise to target your muscles better and how to avoid tweaking things by being in a position that doesn't work for you. You learn these things by doing. But if you're always going to copy somebody else's form, you may get lucky and their form may work for you, but I can guarantee you it's not optimal for you. No other person's form, unless they are your identical physical twin, no other person's form on any exercise is ever going to be exactly optimal for you. That is 100% logical, but I know people still don't understand that. But maybe you do. So there you go. That's the truth, my friend, and that's what matters. All right, next question. I have a harder time hitting maxes on lifts that start from a dead stop, like deadlifts, overhead press. Any tips for engaging all your strength from the get-go of the lift? Yeah. Specifically, you got to train that way, you know. For bench, you got to do floor press, so you can build that explosive out of the whole power. So you're not dependent on the stretch reflex in your muscles to lift a lot of that load for you anymore. You're actually doing it with nervous system strength. That's how you build nervous system strength, is starting from the dead stop. That's why some people like to preach how the almighty deadlift, the ultimate lift. Well, first of all, you can do any lift almost from a dead stop if you want to. Secondly, there's better versions of the deadlift where you can lift a hell of a lot more weight from a dead stop. But don't get me started. The point here is you got to train that way. You got to train from the low position to build that kind of nervous system strength that is not the same as muscle stretch reflex strength, okay? That's the best advice I can give you. I mean, that recent video I was doing like the inclined machine incline bench press, that builds a hell of a lot of power getting started on a lift, okay? Oh, and going back to that earlier question about punching power, this kind of training will build punching power, especially done explosively. Instead of bench pressing just so you can be a big, dumb, slow ox, if you're a fighter, use floor presses. Build some real explosive power from your nervous system. So you got that explosion from here to here, you can knock a motherfucker out. You don't have to start running from back there because you're slow as an ox, okay? Kind of ties all that together. So yeah, specificity of training. The lifts, you want to get stronger that way, you got to make yourself do it that way. You got to start from the dead stop, okay? And it is harder. It's way harder for everybody. You're not going to get the kind of numbers on dead stop exercises that you can get when you start from the top and you get that stretch reflex. But it's not about that. It's about getting actually more powerful. It's not about numbers. And of course that will apply to your more standard lifts, obviously. So it's very simple. I know it's not an overly exciting answer, but to be honest with you, that's the best I can tell you, is to train that way. Okay, next question. Hey Nether, do you think the Earth is flat? And if not, why? Thanks. No, I do not think the Earth is flat because I do astral projection and I've seen the Earth from outer space on plenty of occasions and it's not flat. So, again, now I really... See, this crosses over into that territory that I'm not supposed to bring up on this channel. So hopefully I didn't just scare anybody or make them mad so they got to unsubscribe. But that's the reason, okay? I've seen the Earth from a distance. Now, if you don't believe in astral projection, fine. Just believe the Earth's flat or believe something else. I don't give a shit. I'm just telling you. There we go. Okay. I don't want to lose 100 subscribers who are scared of wisdom or anything. So let's just move on here. How much sleep? How much do you sleep? Well, lately not as much as I'd like to. However, when you're in love with what you're doing, you don't need as much sleep. Those of you who have actually experienced being in love before, you may have noticed you don't need as much sleep when you're in love because the neurotransmitters and the chemistry you're producing hormonally in your body is so much more energizing and uplifting that you repair faster with less sleep. Right now, because of the way I've expanded my consciousness, again, I won't talk too much about that on this channel. For those of you that are interested in metaphysical stuff, I have a whole other channel that's way deep into that. Let me know. I can direct you there. But because of the changes in my consciousness in recent years, you could say that the things I'm doing now in life, the ways I'm getting to actually help people, the world, myself, the experiences I'm getting to have and so forth, I'm in love with all the things I'm doing. And that's the reason I'm not sleeping as much. If I didn't have so much I was passionate about to get up for in the morning, I'd sleep in for another 4 hours. But honestly, I've been running on an average of probably 4 hours of sleep for months now, okay? And as long as my vibration and my mindset is really good and I'm producing those good neurotransmitters, I'm fine. I'm fine that way. But the second I let any of this small-mindedness or, yeah, you're doing it wrong, or any of the thoughts of this world seep into my sphere, I become weak and sick and depressed, and then I would need 12 hours of sleep. So it's very much a consciousness thing. I'm operating at a vibration sort of similar to being in love, and that gives me so much passion and energy that I'm actually doing well on a lot less sleep than what I used to need. So there you go. That's something to think about. All right. Much love. Next question. How often do you stretch? Got any favorite stretches? Do you stretch at all? Stretching versus mobility. Thanks for your great content. Awesome question. Yeah, I can wrap that whole subject up for me in a pretty quick bubble. Usually I just stretch when I'm pumped, because that's when you can get the fascia around the muscle to actually be forced to stretch bigger to allow more room for the muscle to grow. Furthermore, my flexibility is much more improved if I stretch while I'm pumped, because again, it causes a much harder stretch that actually makes things have to expand. And then later when I'm not pumped, I have more of a range of motion in those muscles. So you're warm, you're pumped, and Sam Ernil is going to be, bringing out some teachings on this that he's experimenting with, and he's right on. The stretch part, the stretch overload part of your bodybuilding or muscle building type training is probably the very most important part of the rep. If you will stretch deep and hard on the muscles that you've got pumped, you will get more gains. In some of your cases, you'll probably double the gains you're getting from your workouts. So that's the reason I go ahead and combine stretching where it serves multiple purposes all at the same time. Simple, makes it very simple. These things all serve each other. It's very efficient. It's a lot of bang for your buck if you think about it. So that pretty much wraps up that subject for me. All right. How do you hold on to the bar when doing heavy rack pulls? Once I get to 765, the bar just rolls out of my hands, even with the Iron Mind straps I got. I don't think it's really a grip strength issue, as I can double overhand deadlift 365. Okay, and somebody responded to this. Small hands, short fingers. No, they're just asking you. Okay, so my thoughts on this. I was always limited by my grip on deadlifting, rack pulling, block pulling, all that type of stuff. So I really got focused on it at one point in my life, on just picking up a weight and seeing what I could hold. And I went from struggling with 600 to doing 980 barehanded during that, 6 months or something. I did not train frequently at it. I did it once every 2 weeks. I would pick up the heaviest thing I possibly could hold at the time and just hold it for a couple seconds if that's all I could hold it. Now, me, I'm very specific with my training. It's almost overly simple and boring to some people, but that worked well. Now, as far as the bar rolling out of your hand, I don't know if you're aware of this, but most bars are at least somewhat bent, and the ones that aren't, this probably won't apply to. Check to see that the bar you're lifting isn't bent, because if it is bent at all, you want to hang it with a bend upwards, because otherwise when you pick it up, it's going to spin towards hanging in its arced position. That can cause hand spin. You probably know that. Now, I don't know if you're doing alternate grip on your deadlifts, but to me, I don't know what the biggest double overhand deadlift ever has been. Maybe there's somebody out there who literally can grip the heaviest weight they can deadlift. I've never seen him. Anybody I ever saw who progressed on deadlifts or rack pulls or any of that kind of stuff, even heavy rows, I've seen it. People get heavy enough on rows that they start doing mixed grip. So I don't know if you're doing that. Let me know. There's not a lot of specifics here to work with. You might need different wraps. Now on rack pulls, you can push the bar against the front of your legs, and if you kind of, like, I actually use my lats to push back a little bit, and that kind of causes friction on my legs that'll stop the bar from trying to spin out of my hands, if that makes sense. Now, this is not going to work on a deadlift, I don't think, in any way, shape, or form, but it will work on a rack pull. Then again, your body physiology might not be the same as mine. That might not work for you. But I've noticed for me, if I push the front of my quads against the bar and I use my lats to push backwards to actually shove that bar back into me a little bit and then lift it off, that helps to keep it from even trying to spin, okay? So those are the only tips I can think of that have helped me go from times when I really felt like I was always going to be very limited by grip to a point now where I don't feel that way. With straps on now, I'm always able to lift however heavy I want to until the straps break. That becomes the next issue. And then you start using seat belts and stuff like that. But anyway, with no more specifics, that's probably as far as I can expand on this for the moment. Hopefully that helps. Much love to you, my friend. All right, next question. What are the performance benefits of barbell hack squats and Jeffersons over squats and conventional deads, as well as for hypertrophy? Now, I am not an authority personally on barbell hack squats. I did them is that the word? Excessively, obsessively? Well, both. For a certain phase, and this is how I got the biggest legs I'd ever had. Barbell hack squats, yeah, behind the back with a barbell. I wasn't squatting clear to the ground. It was a limited range of motion, up in the range that hits the quads hardest, not the glutes and hams. And I used really heavy weight and I did high volume. I was doing 20 sets per workout, 3 days a week, and going up to some of those sets being 600 or 700 pounds. I got huge quads. I got 29-inch legs, but my knees were getting so imbalanced that they were just hurting like hell. And I knew that was stupid, and I'm a real-world athlete, and I can't have myself being prone to injury. I need to be as bulletproof as possible. So I stopped, and I let my legs shrink, and then I rebalanced them with other exercises, and I completely healed my knees, which was the wise thing to do. And right now I'm building my legs back up in secret, not using a single squat, but anyway, that's a whole other subject. So I'm not an authority on it, but from my experience, it was a hell of a quad builder. I also used elevated heels. I put like a 2x4 under my heels and a somewhat narrow stance because I was just blowing up my quads doing this. Now I remember feeling it in the mid-back for some reason, even though the weight's behind me. That doesn't make sense. So I'm not sure if that was just me, and this is why I say I don't consider myself any kind of an authority on hack squats. Now Jeffersons over standard squats, I can definitely speak on that. Benefits over squats and conventional deads. The Jefferson deadlift, to me, I would take it over both those exercises hands down without even blinking, without even a second thought. The thing about a Jefferson is you can alter your positioning to make it very much a leg dominant move, and you can blow up your legs majorly, or you can make it a much more back dominant move and blow up your back. The advantages in either case are that you're putting one leg forward, and what this does, it athletically makes you a more functional athlete, because nobody in their right mind in the real world, in a combat or a sport, or even just picking up a sock off the floor, would naturally gravitate towards what they call a standard deadlift unless there's something wrong with you. It's a totally unathletic, retarded movement. A Jefferson lift makes you functional as an athlete in a lot of positions that real-world athletes find themselves in. The next advantage is because one leg's forward, you end up having a higher amount of weight on one side versus the other. This is only an advantage if you take the time to train an equal amount of sets with each foot forward. If you're a numbskull and you just do it the way you're stronger, you're making your body crooked, and in the long run, that's just a really dumbass idea. If you have a weakness on Jeffersons, do an extra working set at the end of your workout on the weak side to bring it up, to give it a little extra hypertrophy. This has always worked for me to correct any imbalances, to keep me equally strong both ways. Now, when you're lifting on a Jefferson lift, your lats get hit a lot harder than a standard deadlift, and one side of your traps and your whole upper back is getting hit with like 60% of the weight instead of 50-50. So you get, let's say you're lifting 500 pounds and 60% of it is hitting harder on one side. That means that that side of your body on that set is getting the equivalent of, what's 60%? Oh, of 500. I don't know, 300 pounds, something like that. Let's say 300. So So rather than a 250-pound stimulus on that side of your body, it's 300 or so. Then you switch to the other foot and same thing, the other side gets hit harder. So even though you did 500 pounds for 2 sets, your back muscles felt, you know, the equivalent of what would have been 600 pounds on one of those sets, because one side of your back was lifting the equivalent of that on one set, and the other side was lifting the equivalent of that on the other set, which means you lifted higher max weight that day, even though you lifted the same weight. Not your nervous system didn't lift more weight. The muscles, the individual muscles that you're trying to hypertrophy, they had to face more weight that day. Now, the leg that you have forward, depending on your body positioning, you can put a hell of a lot of weight on your glute, and you're going to feel it a lot harder on one side than the other. So again, even if you're Jefferson lifting 500 pounds, one of those legs is doing the equivalent of a set with 600 pounds on squats, okay? Then you switch it the other way and same thing. You're hitting one side harder with more weight, even though your nervous system's still lifting the same amount of weight. I hope that makes sense. I hope you're getting what I'm saying here. So your core also gets hit much harder because it's being twisted on, and therefore it's being pulled a lot harder on one side than when you're lifting a weight evenly and symmetrically on your body, which in the real world, nothing ever happens that way. So again, if you want to be functional, Jefferson lift makes you a lot more bulletproof, coordinated, and functionally strong, and more injury resistant than the standard lifts that you mentioned there. You can build all the leg muscle you ever could on squats. No, that's not possible. It has to be squats. Yeah, whatever. You can build all the muscle you ever could on squats, and you can change your form and build more muscle on it in your back than you can with deadlifts. So between different variations of the Jefferson lift, you can surpass the value of both of those other lifts. And I'm not even talking by a small margin. Now, the only reason this wouldn't make sense is if you compete in powerlifting, you're still going to need to do probably most of your training specifically on those 3 lifts, right? But if you don't, and you'd like to be more real-world functional, injury-proof, and get better gains, the Jefferson lift is better, okay? For all those reasons, and probably more that I'm not even thinking of right now, because I could go on and on about it. It's a very special, awesome lift. All right, enough said for now. Next question. If someone was purely pursuing muscularity and aesthetics, would he be better off A, getting stronger in the 6 to 10 rep range with lower to moderate volume, or B, not concerned with strength at all and just racking up as much volume sets of 10 as possible? Okay. Well, now you're pursuing muscularity and aesthetics, you don't care about strength, but you're asking which of those methods is going to give you more muscularity and aesthetics. The thing is, it's going to depend on which kind of training you've done more of in the past, what's your body more adapted to and what's it not adapted to. It's going to also depend on your recovery capacity. Are you the kind of person that can do high volume training and recover from it? Not everybody is, and from what I've seen, the more ectomorphic body types that have trouble keeping mass on and eating enough, they don't do near as well on the really high volume stuff as big, heavy, size oriented people like me, okay? I can handle that high volume stuff and recover from it. My body doesn't find it all that strenuous, and sometimes it's just nice to, do the extra calorie burning. So this depends on your body type, your recovery, which type of training your body's more used to. This is why you'll hear endless arguments between the Arnold followers and the Mentzer followers, since they're all just a bunch of followers and they're not observing reality for themselves. The reason one group says volume training's better is because for a lot of people it is. And the reason the other group says high intensity, low volume training's better, a lot of people it is. So I can't tell you that, man. I'd have to work with you personally. I'd have to know more about your individual body, your training history, your mindset. I'd have to get to know you a little bit to be able to recommend something more for you there, okay? But as general advice, neither one of those systems is better than the other, and that's why you're going to hear endless arguments out there, because certain people are going to get a hell of a lot better gains from one than the other. And then there's other people that are going to get somewhat even gains from either one of them, depending on which muscle fiber types they have more of, okay? There's at least 3 different types of muscle fibers, probably more than that. And which type you have more of determines which type of exercise you're going to get actual more muscle size gain from, okay? So there's a lot more to this. This is why I never go around recommending, this is the diet to follow, this is the workout to follow, because that's horse shit. Every single one of you is completely unique, you know? So I would never do that. I would never waste your time giving you generic advice that you might get lucky and it might work for you, but it might be totally irrelevant to you, you know? So you got to learn about your own body a little more. And you can try both of those systems. Try a month or two one way, try a month or two the other way, and then you'll know how you respond to those two things. You know, write down notes, make observations, and see what changes and what doesn't. And that's always the best way. Self-mastery. Learning your body is always the path that leads to eventually being great. Following somebody else's program is great for beginners. It might even be good for novices. But to ever become advanced at anything, guys, eventually you got to master yourself. That's what it comes down to. Otherwise, you're always going to be limited to somebody else's limitations, you know? Much love. Moving on. Next question. Have I ever gotten into a fight before? If so, why, and did you win? Yeah, I've been in lots of fights, and there's many different if-sos. So I don't know, you know? Yeah. So, yes. I don't really want to elaborate on that any more deeper, really, because it probably gets off topic into other things. And it's amazing how many people find excuses to take offense to things I say already on this channel when all I'm doing is every fucking thing possible to help you guys. And I have to be very careful because I can't even share weights that I lift without people feeling offended and having to try to lie and break it down. So if I talk about fighting stories, it's going to get worse. But anyway, yes, and yes. And okay, I'll give you one part. The reason I've gotten into fights is because I was a bully magnet when I was young. I got bullied by everybody in the world, and then some more, okay? And instead of avoiding it, I became the thing that would never be bullied by anything ever again, and then some, okay? Suffice it to say. All right. It's not that I like conflict, but I have no problem shoving somebody's head up their ass and snapping it off if they think they're going to go around manhandling people because they can. Next question. Have you ever or will you ever try training for any gymnastic type moves like front, back, lever, planche, iron cross, etc.? I did an iron cross the very first time I tried. I can do an iron cross. Even being the biggest guy in the gym I was at, I was the only one that could do it on my first try. Long arms and everything. I think it's that lat power pushing down translates well. So yes, I can do an iron cross. As far as like when you're talking about gymnastics, I think you're talking about the actual sport of gymnastics. I've done a few cartwheels. I can't really think of any other specific gymnastic type stuff. As far as the planche, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. I believe I've done that too. Front back lever, I don't even know off the top of my head what that is. So I'm not big into the standard gymnastic moves, but I am the kind of guy who's naturally strong at stuff like that, okay? Pound for pound, my functional strength, and this is something, again, about my style of training. It makes you incredibly brutally strong at real life stuff that can be translated to anything, not 3 stupid arbitrary lifts. So you can pretend you're an elitist asshole because you're good at 3 outdated ideas. Sorry, I shouldn't pick on powerlifters so much. I respect you if you compete at anything. All right, but yes, I'm not big into any of the standard gymnastic stuff, but I am an agile person, and my natural athleticism plus the kind of sport I train in, plus the way I go about training with weights, all contribute to that. And I'd be a pretty good gymnast for a big guy if I applied myself. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Can lifting benefit from meditation? Can it? Listen, that's what this channel was before. I tried to show the world how you can do things that are considered impossible on a regular basis. Nobody was open to it, and I only got punished for it. So sadly, I'm not really allowed to tell you much on that. You might want to check out my channeling channel, okay? It's literally called The Channeling Channel. Remind me to link it on here if you don't find a link somewhere, if I forget to, if you're interested. But yes, that's where real power comes from. Everything you see here in the physical is being created and held together in these particles by what you don't see happening in the metaphysical. That's where all the real power comes from. So yes, 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 yes. More yeses than I can say or even begin to elaborate on here without a bunch of people choosing to take offense and try to get me in trouble for sharing wisdom with them. Sadly, my friend. Email me privately if you want to. We can go from there. What do you think about women in dating? What do I think about women in dating? I don't know, man, because I'm a married guy and have been for some time. I don't waste my time thinking about women in dating. I was never the guy that had a good woman dating life, if that's what you're wondering. If you haven't noticed yet, I don't fit in this world at all, okay? And women were no exception. They didn't understand me or connect to me any better than anybody else. I think I scared the shit out of them for the most part. Because either I was too shy or I was too direct or it was always too something, you know. But the truth is, it's about how you feel about yourself inside, okay? If you feel attracted to yourself, all of a sudden you become a magnet. And women are throwing themselves at you. It causes problems when you don't want it anymore. That's what I've experienced. When you want something, it just runs from you, okay? When you don't want it anymore, it's throwing itself at you and you have to fight it off. That's been my experience with that, okay? So the real power is in not needing that attention, and then it's easy to get, okay? Easier said than done. Again, that's probably something we could elaborate a lot better on the metaphysical channel, because if I start going here, it's going to get spiritual or something, and then somebody's going to take offense again. So let me know if that's enough for now, but I'm not one of these guys that's going to give you 10 cliche bullshit sayings about what you should think about women. All that does is limit your thinking and set you up to experience what they're determining for you instead of you determining what to experience in relationships yourself. But again, at risk of getting too philosophical, I better move on here. What can I do to avoid SL joint pain when doing box squats? SL joint. Is that SL? Off the top of my head, I don't know what joint that is, unfortunately. Somebody who's watching this knows exactly what he's talking about. You know which joint that is. You know some techniques to help reduce pain when doing box squats, or you know what the recovery is, or you have some wisdom. Please type an answer to this guy. I know somebody's here who knows that, okay? Because I haven't dealt with that particular issue, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm an authority on that, okay? I like to be very real with people and give them real things, not BS, just to steal ideas and pretend they're mine like I see going on. Anyway, moving on. Thoughts on bridging for neck gains in terms of fighting. Athlete X made a video saying there are potential long-term drawbacks to develop nerve impingement. Yeah, I have no doubt that you could hurt yourself. However, if you're going to step up to being a fighter, you better be able to do neck bridges and a whole lot more. Because if you're going to injure yourself doing neck bridges, I guarantee you're going to get killed when one of the people who's most highly trained and aggressive and good at injuring and destroying your body is doing their very best to do so. If neck bridges are too much, don't go anywhere near fighting, okay? So my take on this is, yeah, a lot of people are fragile and weak, and there's half the exercises they can't even do because they have no physical integrity. Their body's built out of rotten garbage, and they'll just injure themselves. But if you're in decent shape and you can hack it, neck bridges are the very best form of neck training there is. Not only will they build a thicker, stronger neck, but it's a neck that's actually functionally strong. Like, you can wrestle with your neck. You can actually throw people with your head. Your neck gets so strong, okay? You're more injury proof. You're much less likely to get your neck broke in a motorcycle accident or anything else in life. So neck bridges are awesome. That's the only form of neck training I ever do, okay? Not because I have anything against other forms of neck training. If you want to add volume to your neck training, go for it. Isolate all your neck muscles and do all kinds of shit. I'm just saying, for me, if I was to pick a king of neck exercises for me, neck bridges, yeah. And generally using your neck a lot when wrestling, just making it stronger so you can use your head as a fifth limb, okay? To force people where you want them to with the strength of your neck. It becomes a fifth limb, okay? So, that's my thoughts on that. Next question. What do you think are the essentials for someone starting a home gym, and what are the things that can be added later on down the road? Well, there's really no essentials. Look at prisoners who live in prisons where they don't have access to a weight room, who come out more jacked than a lot of lifelong gym rats who take steroids. In fact, they come out more jacked than all the lifelong wannabe gym rats that take steroids. And they didn't even have weights. They had a little tiny room with a bench and a toilet and a sink maybe. And they did all that shit in there. What that tells you is understanding how to contract and control muscles is what's necessary to make gains. Your muscles couldn't give a fuck less if you're moving a dumbbell or you're moving your body through space. If you stimulate and tear up muscle fiber, it grows. So there's actually no essentials. But all that being said, if I was to say what would be the first piece of equipment I would look for, it'd be a power rack, because that way I can work with tremendous weights without killing myself, training by myself, which I always am. Okay? For me, that's absolutely key. I couldn't always push my single rep max strength to whatever degree I want if I didn't have a power rack or something similar. Now, I could build something similar to a power rack if I needed to, but that's probably, again, the first thing I would do. Because an adjustable power rack with adjustable pins and settings and heights, as you've seen on this channel, where I have this little tiny basement room I'm working out, one main piece of equipment, and just a bunch of damn weights and plates and straps and ropes and boards and different ideas to attach to it, I can do anything. I can build any muscle any way I want to. That doesn't mean that if I walked into a gym with all the equipment in the world, it wouldn't be better. If I worked out with the equipment that most of you guys do, I'd have literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of invented exercises. It would just be never ending all day long, and I'd probably be too busy inventing things. And that may occur down the road. Certain windows are going to open and more equipment's going to be available to me, and then if you think I've been inventing stuff so far, wait till I have more than one piece of equipment. But yeah, to keep it simple for me personally, a power rack. And then to add is weights. Okay, not dumbbells. I have videos on this channel called No Dumbbells, No Problems, for a reason. Because a lot of people, they'll start buying all this different equipment, but they don't have enough weight plates to actually challenge themselves anymore. They outgrow their weights. So for me, I always add more plates. Now, I'm at the point now where if I was to buy another thing from right now, what would my next thing might be? In my case, I don't know. I can't. You know what? I'm trying to think of what I need to do that 2,000 pound rack pull, because I can easily pull the weight. The problem is I can't find a way to hang enough shit and balance it off my bar. And if I hang all that weight on the outsides of the bar, it's going to bend the bar to no return. And I love that bar and I don't want to destroy it. So I don't personally know what my next piece needs to be. I'm still contemplating that. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. Me, I'd start with the power rack so I can and then add plates. And then the very next thing after plates, my next priority would be a trap bar. Okay? Now you can use a trap bar in the power rack in a variety of ways, or not. But it's an awesome piece of equipment. It just adds so much. I would buy a trap bar long before I'd waste any money on dumbbells. Dumbbells are just convenient things to put in one hand, but you can lift plates in one hand. It's easy. So to me, that's the order I'd accumulate, just like I have. Power rack in the standard bar, lots and lots of weights, then a trap bar, then more weights. And then I started getting resistance bands and special handle attachments, and you guys see how I use boards and pallets and shit like that to help construct exercises that can be done from different positions. But it's all centered around that power rack. I could build a house in that power rack and live there, as some of you have joked before. All right, next question. Hey Nether, would you mind telling us how you became what you are now and how you reached the conclusions you have over the years regarding training and nutrition? Well, you got to ask me something specific, because really I could literally, that topic is so broad, I could sit here and speak until I literally just drop dead from dehydration days from now, and I'd still be going, There'd be nowhere to stop. So try to give me something specific. And furthermore, when you say I've reached conclusions, I want you guys to understand that one of the things that is different about me, that defines me from the rest of the populace, is I don't have any fixed conclusions. That's why I'm constantly changing, because as soon as you have conclusions, you're done growing. You're stuck. You're stuck right there. And as good as those conclusions may be, the truth is there's better ones that you'll find if you're open to it. So there's no conclusions. the conclusion is I will ever be changing and evolving and expanding into whatever I believe serves me and those I interact with best at the time. And I couldn't give a fuck less whether that's understood or not, because I answer to me and my own conscience. So, but as far as training in nutrition, I have thousands of hours of research in nutrition, and a lot of experience healing so-called incurable diseases. Hopefully I can say that on here without getting sued or kicked off again. Hey, disclaimer, that was a total joke. Nobody can ever heal from anything. Because that's what the medical establishment says and what y'all want to believe. So now the disclaimer's out of the way. I have a lot of first-hand experience helping guide people to heal themselves from incurable diseases, and myself, for example. So thousands of hours of research and experience has to do with my nutritional take on things and where I'm at there. Training, 21 years of doing every different possible thing and absorbing my own experience instead of going back to some stupid book that doesn't correlate to my real life experience. That's how I got kind of how I'm at now with those things, okay? That's a very general answer. If you give me something more specific, I could, get deeper into it, but suffice it. This Q&A will help people realize that, if you ask me a question that's so broad I could really say anything, I'm not going to sit here for 6 hours on one question and try to say every possible thing about that. So try to give me a little more what you're specifically thinking or asking, okay? And then when I answer that, I realize it'll bring up more questions. You keep adding them to this thread, and we can keep expanding on the same topics with more and more Q&As, but just try to have the questions be a little more specific so it gives me more to work with, so I can be more helpful to you that way, I believe, okay? Okay. You've been a follower for a while now. Do I have any influential book recommendations? Honestly, I don't. I have not read a book in so long now. I know you guys just heard me say I have thousands of hours of nutritional research. Most of it's study papers. I tend to take the study papers that scientists do in labs that apparently they never actually learn anything from. I read those papers and understand the implications and then apply it, and people are healed. So I don't know what you call that. Comprehension, maybe? But I don't have books to recommend. I don't follow any philosophers. I do, but I hope this doesn't cause people to unsubscribe. My information comes from unseen forces these days, okay? That's where I get it from. And that way it's very genuine and it's very original. You're not getting somebody else's book through me, okay? Won't work that way. So no, in that case I don't. Good question though, and I'm glad that's clarified, because I remember on the old channel people used to ask me that all the time. So that's a good question. It needed to be answered. You said you're a hunter. What kind of hunter are you? Bow, gun, knife? Mostly bow, but also spear, knife. I have lots of guns, but I don't hunt that way because when it comes to interacting with nature that way, I just prefer to do it in a more, I don't know. That's funny. I've never really thought about that. To me, shooting an animal to eat with a gun is like cheating. And I know, hey, I'm not criticizing somebody else's beliefs here. It's just, to me, that's too damn easy. A hunter should be somebody who's actually good at tracking, sensing animals, finding things, understanding the land. I'm into all that. If you drive around in a big fat SUV and just shoot things with your scope and your rifle and you're some fat ass that couldn't even walk a mile, and I see this a lot, I don't call that being a hunter. I call that being just a guy who likes to murder animals for sport, unless you eat them, in which case I guess I can't call it murder. And this issue, it's a weird issue anyway. But yeah, I prefer bow. Actually, I prefer to trap small game, and then I set traps, like harmless traps, just little cage traps that lock shut. They don't do any harm or suffering. And then I come along and I execute that animal instantly, okay? Because the thing about bow hunting, I'm kind of good at it, but I don't always hit them exactly where I want to. Then I have to chase it down and finish it off with a knife as fast as I can, because, I figure my job as a hunter is to be as good at it as possible to create as little suffering and fear as possible. So I actually prefer to trap things in a way that doesn't cause them any harm, and then execute them with an axe instantly, okay? So they don't feel nothing. For those who are curious. And I consider fishing a form of hunting because fish is probably the healthiest, well, probably the healthiest meat to eat in most cases. So fishing too, you know. My version of fishing usually is a short piece of string on a stick, and I like to fish in water where I can see what's in there. So I don't do standard fly fishing or where you throw your hook in some water and you just hope to feel something. My version of fishing is like I find a pool where I can feel there's going to be fish. I collect local bait, some kind of bug or something nearby. You know, try different things, put it on a hook, and I even kill the bug before I put it on a hook, just in case they suffer on hooks. For those of you bleeding heart people that think I'm cruel, you know. And I put that in there and I watch the fish's behavior and I watch what they do according to how I move the bait, and I figure out what they like and how to motivate them. And that's my way of fishing for those interested. So anyway, next question. I missed all those great Q&As. Would you be able to upload them to the other channel due to the content? No, unfortunately, my friend, I can't unload them to that other channel because they were probably 70% bodybuilding related content and maybe 30%, if I'm remembering. Plus, I don't think I have those videos. Somebody does. I think the System Blower might have them. You could check with him. But no, they don't fit on either channel now, unfortunately. The people on my channeling channel that are really there for that, it wouldn't be right to them to have hours and hours of bodybuilding stuff on the Q&As that, you know, that's just kind of, it's not really rude, but it would just be inconsiderate. It just wouldn't be right for them, you know. So no, pretty much starting over here, building those priceless libraries back, and in a non-mixed way this time, since people on this earth want everything segregated and cut apart and fighting with each other instead of working together. But okay, play that game the best I can for now. But thanks for your question. I wish I could do something like that. I wish I could just be the holistic me and show people how you can put things together that the rest of the world thinks they're supposed to fight with each other forever. But the world wasn't ready for that, and anyway. But anyway, there's entirely new Q&As forming on that channel, obviously, and now there is here. So, hey, whatever questions remain unasked, just keep asking them, and we will get those libraries of information built up, all right? Much love. Next question. Hey, Nether, could you talk about detoxification methods and how we can go about cleansing our bodies to perform optimally and be happier? Sure, I can talk about it a little. I can't go too far because when you go too far with detoxification methods, you start healing incurable diseases, and then if you mention that, you either get arrested or you get kicked off the planet. You just have an accident and you're dead. This happens to all the alternative doctors. Not all of them, but most of them, sadly. So there's many great detoxification methods out there, and what I would advise an individual on, which methods to start with, would depend on where they're starting from. What is their current health? Because certain things, for example, like water fasting, some people have great results water fasting, but there's a lot of people who are too nutritionally depleted and weak to begin with. So if they go on this long water fast, they can get so weak that they can fall into other health problems. So you can't go recklessly recommending certain things, you know. Sauna detox, good at getting radiation, parasites, and junk, and boosting the immune system, and getting all kinds of crap out of the body, but it also drains a lot of electrolytes. And if you don't know how to replace electrolytes, as many as you're taking out or more, in a form that your body can actually assimilate, you create such an electrolyte deficiency, you start locking up and having real problems that way. Even though you're more detoxified, now you're so nutritionally depleted, you can run into other health problems. So this is one of those subjects where a lot of people will try to act cool and just recommend all kinds of detox things randomly. But the truth is, it needs to be approached on an individual basis. And when I work with people, it's very much based on who they are and where they're at. Because I've got a lot of experience with this again, and I know a lot of things about the different path that certain people are going to be able to respond to better than a different path. Nutritionally, raw vegan diets are usually very good for detoxification for most people. There's a lot of herbs. My wife has actually developed herbal formulas which create deep lymphatic detox without the severely awful flu-like symptoms that normally come from serious detox. And down the line, I'm planning to sort of co-operate and open a different channel with her where we're going to be sharing these formulas and recipes and as much as we can about how to heal yourself from any disease you choose without getting ourselves assassinated or arrested for it. So that is in the works, just so you know, because in the little bit of time I got to speak openly on the last channel, multiple people saved their own lives with the information that was being shared, okay? Disclaimer, that's all a lie and fake, so please don't arrest me, okay? But yeah, that's what was happening. So, and that is so important to me. That's the part that pisses me off more than people not being open to higher metaphysical knowledge and truth. If you don't want to be enlightened and expanded, more powerful, more conscious and all that, fine. But I would at least like to see people heal themselves from unnecessary, terrible suffering and early death. I don't wish that even on my enemies. Unfortunately, they make themselves impossible to help, so they wish it on themselves. But I don't want that for anybody. It's a super important topic to me. There are many powerful detox methods. Diatomaceous earth, edible clays. These things suck radiation, parasites, funguses, bacterias, heavy metals. Activated charcoal is excellent for this. These are all things that can be taken through internally to suck that shit out from the inside, which is awesome to do in conjunction with outward detox methods like, saunas, skin brushing, castor oil packs. You might want to look into that. Again, that's referencing Edgar Cayce. Thousands of people were healed by following the things that came through in Edgar Cayce's psychic readings. If you'd like to go read some of those and see what was actually healing people coming from a higher plane of consciousness, it's not something your local doctor's going to know anything about. And Edgar Cayce's already passed on, so they can't, arrest and beat him up and, murder him. So go check out that information. If you'd like to talk to me privately about this, like if you or someone you know is dealing with a serious situation, I would very much like to help you or them, okay? If there's someone who's open to it, they can absolutely heal, okay, from what they're dealing with. It can be done. And I don't care which incurable disease it is, okay? Now, I didn't just say that publicly, disclaimer. That's for entertainment purposes only, because it's so entertaining to talk about, right? Okay. Be happy to talk about these things to anybody privately who's actually open to the concept of being able to heal and regenerate. Yes, you can. And I can be a very useful reference for you on that journey. Much love, enough said. All right, next question. How do you tell whether you're stalling due to lack of recovery or due to volume being too low? Interesting question. I'm going to go with something I saw from Elliot Hulse on this. And unlike a lot of these big name dickhead fitness channels, and I mean the mainstream jerk ones. I don't mean Alpha Destiny. I don't mean Eric Bugenhagen. I don't mean Phil from Fit World Exposed. I don't mean any of those cool guys. So please stop. Whoever does this weird trolling and tries to paint it like I'm saying something negative about those guys, I love all those guys. Don't you dare. But there are certain mainstream fitness channels out there that I literally watch them steal my ideas and pretend it's their own. There's no passion behind it. There's no wisdom. They're just reciting words. But they get thousands and thousands of views and people going, oh yeah, that's so smart. I don't respect shit like that. If you're not willing to reference where you got the information from, that shows me that you're a stupid hack. You don't even belong in the field you're in. So you have to steal other people's shit and act like it's yours because you're a petty little uncreative fuck. But anyway, before he goes too far off into that rant, Elliot Hulse one time, I've seen some of his videos. I like his style, the way he combines philosophy and weightlifting, but not to a degree that gets him kicked off YouTube like me. He shared the best test for whether you're overtrained or not. What you do is you kind of like a rack pull, but it's not a rack pull. It's just to hold the weight. Pick up 300 pounds, let's say, with a double overhand grip on a standard barbell, and time yourself for how long you can hold it until it drops out of your hands. You literally fail. Write that time down. Now, in the future, a week from now, a month from now, if you're wondering if you're overtrained, pick up that same weight, do the exact same thing. If you drop it in a shorter amount of time, you are definitely overtraining, okay? Because your nervous system is weak. If you can hold it for longer, then you know you're not overtraining because you're actually still getting stronger doing what you're doing. That's a very simple, effective, intelligent, practical, badass way to do it. Props to Elliot, man. Yo, Elliot! Thanks for that. All right. So I would start doing that. I'd start doing a check using the grip method so you'll know where your nervous system is at so you don't have to wonder, okay? And that'll tell you, are you recovering? Are you actually getting weaker? Your nervous system is what we're talking about here. If your nervous system is getting weaker, you're definitely overtrained. You definitely need to start adding a lot of rest days in between sessions and you'll get better gains. There are certain people who are going to get a lot better gains with a lot longer rests, whether they like it or not. And then there's others who, if they don't train frequently enough, they're not getting enough stimulation. Totally different metabolisms. So the best way to know is to check your nervous system, and that test is a very useful, practical, effective, measurable way to do it. Much love. Next question, my friends. Hey Nether, I asked you this before, but you probably forgot about it. Now, when consuming animal products, do you still do the first wave of vegetables and herbs and the second from mostly fats? And if yes, where do you put the animal foods, or you make a third wave from them? Okay, man, the reason I haven't answered you this is because I'm in a transitionary period where I'm experimenting with different things every day right now in my diet. I don't have a diet right now, okay? When I'm settled into a new pattern that's working and I'm going, okay, this is my pattern for now, I'll update you guys, okay? This is what my diet looks like right now. I will do that. But right now, I'm in the lab right now, scientifically, rewriting, changing. I'm not the kind of guy who goes, oh, I'm switching diets today. I found this one in this book and I'm just going to start following. No, I have to tune this whole thing to me now, okay? Which means experimentation and observation. So I'm not ignoring you. It's a great question. Let me get myself developed into a new diet that I'm somewhat settled into, and then I'll do an update on diet, okay? Much love. Good question. That's on the list down the line, okay? It will happen. But right now, no, none of those rules apply, okay? I'm not doing any of that right now. I'm completely trying different things until I have a whole new arrangement. That's me. That's the way I train. That's the way I eat. That's the way I do life. When I make a change, I really make a change, all right? Much love. How to get an awesome beard like yours? Got mutton chops. Okay, you need to listen to Amon Amarth. Even if you're a girl and you listen to Amon Amarth, I swear you will start growing a beard. However, if that doesn't work for you, a more practical tip, apply organic castor oil to all the areas you would like the hair to be thicker and more so, okay? And this works anywhere. Guys that are balding, do this on your scalp. If for some reason you want a hairier body, you can put it wherever you want, and you're going to get thicker hair and more hair and hair that grows faster there, okay? And it's a wonderful oil. It's detoxifying. It's good for your skin. It's just great. If you don't overdo it, it kind of soaks in after a bit and you don't even see it, okay? I overdo it a lot. People ask me, why is your face all slimy? Because it's covered in oil, and I don't give a shit. But if you don't overdo it, it'll sink in. It won't look weird or anything. But yes, organic castor oil, I would highly recommend for anyone trying to grow any more hair thicker anywhere, okay? It works on all types of hair, all right? All right. Next question. Other than that, you just got to reincarnate with a lot of Celtic and Viking genes, you know? I've watched those, I don't really watch them, but I noticed the World Beard Growing Championships once, and I watched part of an episode, and it seemed like the guys who were winning were all from, like, either Scandinavian or Celtic type countries, and I have a lot of that ancestry, and physically those are my ancestors that I look like, and I got the beard to go with it. So this thing just turns into a grizzly bear. Pretty soon you won't even be able to see me anymore. I'll just hide behind it and go, hey, Let's do it. Let's do a physique update, and I'll have to do this with my beard so I can appear from behind it. All right. Next question. Any thoughts on full body daily undulating training 3 times per week? Any thoughts? Decent program. There's pluses and minuses, quite a few pluses. Understand that no program is going to be all pluses, because no matter what you're doing, ideally, it would be best if we could take the best of, several different types of programs and be doing them all at the same time. But we have limited recovery and time and so forth. So any program is going to have certain pluses and minuses. So my thoughts on it are, do you know your own goals, and does that type of program correlate with your goals? This is why I do Never Better upgrades. People give me whatever the hell their specific goals are, and I couldn't care less. You could say, I want to have Popeye forearms and nothing on the rest of my body. I'll help you with that. You could come to me and say, I want to build all the muscles on one side of my body twice as big as the other and look like a fucking hermit crab. I'll help you with that. I love custom challenges, and I'm good at that shit. So if you got another better upgrade for me, and then explained your training history, your basic foods, diet, mindset, what your body's like now, and what your goals are, I take 20 plus years of experience and I just laser focus it and say, here's what I would do to get to your goals quickly. This is exactly what another better upgrade is, and this is why people are loving them. It's simple, it's to the point, and it's to get shit done, to get to your goal faster, so you don't have to go through 20 years of different programs before you find the different little pieces that are going to help for that particular goal. Hopefully that makes sense. So those are my thoughts. Much love. Next question. Can I get visible abs without reducing my body fat percentage to single digits? Oh yeah. Unless you have the weirdest stubborn stomach fat, anywhere from 10% to 15%, I've seen pretty decent abs on most people, at least from certain angles, So yeah, definitely. It depends on genetics, and despite what they'll tell you out there, oh boy, here we go again. There is such a thing as spot reduction, and no, it's not done with crunches. I'm not even going to say it publicly because the trolls just tend to take a shit on useful information, and that actually discourages some of you guys from applying it. If you're interested in techniques, if for some reason you have weird, stubborn abdominal fat that won't go away no matter how skinny you get, there are certain things I can help you with dealing with that. Hit me up privately, okay? Because it's more health detox related, believe it or not, than it is exercise related. And it's just not the kind of thing that we need to get into on this Q&A. More of a private one-on-one type thing. All right. Okay. What exercises should you do and how often? So you're asking me what exercises to do for visible abs or to get down your body fat more. See, you're not going to do a bunch of ab exercises to get the abs you want, okay? Vince Gironda, look him up, best natural bodybuilder ever to walk this earth, most ripped guy you'll ever see. He lost every single bodybuilding competition he was in. Literally written on the scorecard was too ripped, too defined, okay? And he's a natural. Natural. Ooh, naturals can't be below fucking blubbery 15 fucking percent. No, wrong. Wrong again. Check out Vince Gironda, leanest fucking most shredded dude ever. Totally natural. Never did crunches. If he saw you doing crunches or sit-ups, he would give your money for your membership back and kick you the fuck out of his gym. Okay? Just so you know. Crunches and sit-ups are bullshit. Alright? I'm not telling anybody who does crunches and sit-ups you're wrong. If you like your crunches or your sit-ups and they benefit you in some way as far as you are concerned, that's fine. I'm just giving you some perspective here. To get the more visible abs, you got to get a leaner body overall. And if it's weird, stubborn belly fat, like I said, hit me up privately. There's certain detox methods that can help with that. To change hormone profiles and to clean your lymph system and some other things. It's not going to be which exercises you do that's going to magically make your abs show, okay? I assure you of that. And some of the best abdominal building exercises have never once been listed as an ab exercise in the history of fucking sheep copying sheep in the gym. Much love. Next question. how to break weighted pull-up plateau. I cannot add any more weight after 55 pounds. I'm assuming you don't mean that you don't have more weights. I'm assuming what you're saying is you can't lift yourself on a pull-up with any more than 55 extra pounds, and that's where you've been stuck for a while. So here's what you want to do. Put about 75 pounds on there. Stand on a chair and get yourself to the top of the range of the motion. Then remove your legs and hang and pull. Hang as long and hard as you can, okay? And when you start to lose it, don't you ever let go. You fight that negative like your life depends on it until you are hanging at full arm stretch. And you hang there until your grip gives out and you fall. This is going to hurt. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be the most difficult single rep of anything you've ever done. But if you will do that, one rep like that, all out with an overload of weight on the negative and fight it as long and hard as you can, you will build more strength. And you will be able to lift positively more than 55 from doing that, okay? I'm not going to tell you exactly how long. As you know, I make huge leaps and bounds and gains from one workout to the next. Other people, due to a variety of factors, maybe don't make these changes so quick. But I can tell you, if you will use this technique, it's the best way to get stronger at weighted pull-ups and chin-ups. It really is. It's that simple, okay? I think Sam on Sam Ernil on his channel, and if you guys haven't subscribed, do it. Or you're going to miss out on a lot of wisdom that'll benefit you. You can thank me later. But I think he does that technique as well in some of his workouts. That literally is his chin-up pull-up workout sometimes, is to take a heavy-ass overload weight and hold it like a static contraction for as long as he can until it starts to become a negative, and he fights that son of a bitch all the way to the bottom, and then he hangs there stretching the shit out of that overloaded muscle, because that's probably the most important part of the whole rep for growth. And then when he absolutely falls off is when the rep is over. And he's gotten more gains that way than doing any amount of sets of pull-ups, even weighted ones, okay? I'm 95% sure what I just said is accurate. Reference Sam, hit him up. He's happy to talk to you guys and help you with all these things, okay? His channel is linked on my recent videos. The last 3 videos I did, called the Ernil Method, showing that the high rep weighted push-up thing, his channel is linked in the description of all 3 of those videos, because I got that technique from him and it's fucking awesome. So anyway, that's how I would and how I have broken through that plateau multiple times, okay? Next, and much love, thank you. Next question. Tips on bulking for a relatively skinny novice college student. All right, man, you left that super vague. I don't know your budget. I don't know the way you eat. I don't know if you're a picky eater. I don't know if because you're skinny, you're like a lot of ectomorphs and maybe you don't have a very big, strong digestive system. Maybe you have a limited appetite. Maybe you have trouble making yourself eat enough. Or maybe it's because you're nervous and busy and distracted and you simply don't remember. I don't know anything about your personal situation, so I can give you some really vague things based on this vague question. In the past, working as a personal trainer one-on-one with a variety of clients, I worked with both extremes of ectomorphs, who were big fat people that had the hardest time ever leaning out at all, and I've worked with those were endomorphs. I'm not sure I said the right term. At the other end of the spectrum, you got ectomorphs. Now these are just terms. If you don't like them, forget them. Okay? I'm using a term that's out there for people who want to reference it. On the other end of the spectrum, you have what some call an ectomorph, who is naturally very lean and a fast metabolism, and they eat their ass off, or they do the best they can to eat, and they still have a lot of trouble gaining any mass. So when it came to working with those ectomorphs like that, who were naturally lean and wiry and athletic and high energy people and pound for pound strong, but just had the hardest time gaining any strength, or not strength, like I said, very, very strong pound for pound, but hard time gaining mass. Maybe that too. Or maybe you're a total noob and you just don't even take the time to eat right. But what I noticed was I had them get a blender and make themselves meals, blended meals in between normal meals. And one of the best ways to bulk is organic peanut butter mixed with things that make it taste better in a blender. Mix some water so you can drink it, because most of you, and especially ectomorphs that have a limited appetite to begin with, trying to sit there and slog down a container of peanut butter, you're going to give up after 1 or 2 days because it's just going to seem like hard work to you. But if you'll mix half a can of peanut butter into some water and maybe some nice herbal seasonings or whatever, something healthy preferably to flavor it, and drink that a couple times a day between meals, that is a fuck ton of extra calories in the form of healthy fats for the most part and proteins and minerals like magnesium and stuff that athletes need more than everybody else. So that's one simple idea. But again, I don't know if you're a picky eater. I don't know if you're, oh, I don't eat peanut butter. You could use tahini. Oh, I don't eat any nut butters and seeds. If you're that person and you're going to limit it further and further and further and further, will you do raw eggs in a blender? I don't know. I don't know who I'm talking to. So, but the most basic, simple thing is to set a plan for yourself. Go, okay, every 3 hours a day, I need to take in a meaningful meal that's going to contribute to my fucking gains. Because I'm a fast metabolism guy. And if I'm not doing that, I'm pissing away the muscle I built with my last strenuous workout. And the one before that and the one before that. So if you care about your gains, you set it up for yourself. You can make these extra drinks in the morning, put some ice in them, put them in some, thermos type things and take them to school or work or whatever. There's always an easy way to do this, guys. You just have to be willing to. You have to plan it out for yourself and set your priorities. If you're a skinny ass ectomorph that can't figure out how to get bigger, drink some fucking peanut butter based nutritional drinks in between meals throughout the day. And if you're having trouble digesting it, again, I'm going to recommend this. Get plant-based digestive enzymes and take them with your meals. They will help you digest it faster and more efficiently to where your body can actually build with more of those nutrients, and they'll leave more energy left over for other things because you didn't use so much digesting. Because I've noticed with a lot of ectomorphic type people, you do not have as much digestive power as somebody like me. I can eat like 5,000 calories at one time and digest it all easy, within a couple hours, and gain more mass than I want to, okay? So, different metabolisms, different situations. But if I was in that ectomorph body, I'd have my high-calorie, healthy, bodybuilding drinks pre-made in the morning with some ice in them to keep them relatively cool if I cared. And that would be that. I'd have a little timer, maybe every 3 or 4 hours, I'd make sure I took in something significant to feed my goals. That's simple, all right? Since you left it vague, that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you, much love. Next question. Why is that hard to progress on bench press? The way you worded that, I'm not even sure what you're saying. Are you simply asking me why is it hard to progress on bench press? First of all, depending on who you ask, it's not. Like, to me, I would not agree with that statement because in my reality, I don't agree with things like that. I don't agree with ideas that it's hard to progress at something because if I agree with that idea, I'm fucked. It's going to be real hard to progress at, okay? So the very first thing is because you believe it's hard. That's why it's hard as fuck to do it. And unless you change the way you think, it's always going to be very hard and limited until you just give up because you're just going to get frustrated down the line. Oh, I don't get the gains other people do, and I have shit genetics and whatever. You're going to justify it all these ways and then walk away. And that's fine. Maybe you don't even like bench press anyway. I know I don't give a shit about it. It's kind of a boring lift. There's so many more fun ways to work your chest. But if you care about bench and you want to get better at it, I'm going to say what I should have said to the powerlifter that I answered the first question to on this Q&A. At risk of being too philosophical or spiritual or conceptual once again. Here's the truth, guys. The reason the bench press is defeating you and the reason powerlifters don't put up the big 2100 plus I did or more on the big 3 is because you've made it into your fucking God. That's why. You make these things your God. It's your religion. You fucking bow down to it. You make those lifts so big and important that your entire identity is wrapped up in it before you even start. Now you're scared because if you fail to lift some big number, oh, my identity's going to feel like shit. You're fucked. You're fucked before you even get started, okay? The reason I put up such big fucking numbers, apparently nobody's done naturally, supposedly, and I highly doubt that, but maybe it's true, on those 3 conventional fucking lifts that I don't even care about, is because I don't even care about them. They were never a big thing to me, so they weren't intimidating. And I never looked out there to see what other people were doing. Because again, if I did that, I'd be making my fucking mental view smaller. So sadly, those of you who work out around other people are going to have a lot more trouble with this. I am isolated so much that I don't realize when I've surpassed people on things you're not supposed to be able to do. And that's why it's fucking easy to do. I don't have the preconceived notion that it's not easy to do. So that's a big part of the answer to your question right there. Now, if you want physical, practical, down-to-earth technical tips on how to increase your bench, just ask for that, okay? I'll give you the ones I know. I am not a powerlifting trainer. I'm just somebody who apparently outlifted all the powerlifters, and now they're jealous and petty and passively aggressive, and fuck it. That's not my fault or my problem. So I'll give you some tips on how to get your bench bigger if that's what you want. Just ask me for that. But according to the way you worded your question, that's my answer to you, friend. Much love. I hope you can use that and expand with it. Favorite dumbbell exercise? Favorite cable machine exercise? Okay. The first thing to pop into my mind on dumbbells is heavy dumbbell pullovers. And I like it for a tricep exercise, much more than a chest or upper back, or all the weird arguments I've heard people, what they think a dumbbell pullover is. And like I say, everybody's physiology is different. It may be a good chest workout for some of y'all. For me, it's a good long head tricep exercise. That stretch motion of lowering that big heavy dumbbell backwards over you, stretched like that behind a bench, hits my long head of my tricep really well. And traditionally, I had pressers triceps, and I really lacked long head. I'm starting to get there now. It's starting to finally catch up with other things, but there was a stage where I realized I had no long head development, because it turns out no matter what you press, now there may be certain people that are exceptions to this, but most people, no matter what you press, you don't get much of a long head. And I found that dumbbell pullovers were really good for that. So that's what comes to mind for me. Now, you can use other objects to do pullovers, but when it comes to just a nice big dumbbell, that's a nice way to do it. Favorite cable machine exercise? I have a favorite cable machine exercise, but it's based on the sport I compete in. It's not really relevant to bodybuilding. So I'm going to give you my favorite bodybuilding cable machine exercise. I like to take the cables and go cross body and do lateral deltoid raises, because I feel like when they're pulling completely across my body, the range of motion goes further. Like I can go clear to here and still have tension, and the tension's more constant. Obviously, when you bring a dumbbell down to here, there's no more tension. But with those cables, that's not true. It's still pulling crossways. So I just find that there's almost no way to get around doing lateral raises if you want the best shoulders you can have. And I find that variation of it really allows a cable machine to shine in the ways that it can shine, by keeping the tension on all the way through the whole rep on lateral deltoid raises. So that's what comes to mind. Good questions. Much love. Next question. Do you see any issues doing 2-hour high volume full body workouts? Is it enough to get a solid pump in every muscle, or is it generally better to split it up? I find myself being exhausted halfway through my workout. Yeah, it's probably not the best system for you. Now, I realized that I showed some Nether by the Day, that series I did on the old channel where I showed my workouts for a while. Now, understand, guys, I'm not even doing those kind of workouts right now. I'm in a totally different phase. Because so many people were asking me to show my workouts, I did. I did not say this is what you all should be doing. I said you're welcome to try it if you want to. You may like it, you may not. Certain people have given me really good feedback that they actually like that form of training. It's working really well for them. Other people, not so much. So again, and this is why I got to reference my collab and good friend Sam Ernil. Check out his channel. Because of his body type and metabolism and such, that's like the worst training in the world for him. Okay? Extreme opposite form of training has given him much better gains. So check out his channel and check out his methods, and see if maybe to your body, your metabolism and your muscle fiber types and all that stuff, his form of training might be suiting you a lot better. And you definitely won't be going through long training sessions that get you exhausted halfway through. I don't think that sounds productive, man. If you're exhausted halfway through that, No. Doing that too often, you're just draining too many resources out of your body. So check out Sam Ernill's style of training, the kind of videos he's been explaining and recording that he's making progress on, okay? Highly recommended. I have a strong feeling if you'll switch to that extreme for a while, you may really like it, okay? Again, that's why it's so important to understand that people, every part of you, your metabolism, your mindset, your genetics, so-called, your willpower, your diet, your environment and the influences you're under, everybody's on a totally different part of a spectrum on all those things. So there are different methods of training that are going to suit an individual way better at a given chapter in their life according to their goals than a different kind of training. And there's certain forms of training that are never going to suit certain individuals. I mean, it's cool to do it, you're building your endurance and stuff, but I have a feeling as far as getting your best bodybuilding gains, it doesn't sound like that kind of training is really optimal for you. So that's what I'd recommend for now, my friend. Check it out and let me know what you think. Much love. Next question. Have you ever tried extremely rapid weight loss, and what do you think is the best way would be to approach a suicide cut without destroying your metabolism? I've done suicide cuts. I have lost 90 plus pounds in, I think, now I've done this at least 3 times. And I'm not going to say why, but I wouldn't say I destroyed my metabolism. However, I can say that gaining all of it back, I was able to do about 4 times faster than I was losing it. So I don't know. I don't know the best method, because any kind of suicide, I mean, think about what you're saying. And like I said, I did this. I cut out almost all calories. I tried to see how close I could come to starving myself to death at one period for months. Don't ask me why. Whole different story. But I got down to 158 pounds, okay? Which was almost a 100-pound loss for me at the time. And like I said, I've done something similar, 80 to 90 pounds, at least 3 times. And all I know is it all comes back even faster because it does slow your metabolism down. It got to the point where my body was so efficient that it's almost like I couldn't lose any more weight. It's like breathing. I became a breatharian. Somehow, I was getting enough sustenance from the light around me that I couldn't shrink any further from not eating. It was crazy. And then after that, gaining mass, oh my God, it's easy. Between muscle memory and a metabolism that now is going to take every single calorie you even breathe and build something out of it, holy shit, did my size come back fast. So that's been an interesting experience. So I can't tell you that I know some magic way to not destroy your metabolism. I think the word suicide kind of implies that we're not doing it that way. Now, if you can do a somewhat rapid weight loss, maybe using things, some kind of, now, I don't know from experience, so I'm not the expert on this, but there must be some way to keep your metabolism stimulated by using the right things, the right kinds of calories, and the right frequency to keep it going as fast as possible with no excess calories, and get the right amount of mix of exercise, not excess, because then you'll get too many stress hormones, and that'll just cause you to retain fat. But the right amount of the right kind of exercise, along with all the right timing of stimulation of nutrients, there must be a way to rapidly lose weight without really slowing down your metabolism. But since I haven't done that personally, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I have, okay? So much love, my friends. Next question. Thoughts on having volume as well as strength days for same muscle groups, back, chest, arms, etc.? Yeah, there's a lot of programs that incorporate that different ways. And I think that's great overall, as long as you're feeling like you're recovering and the gains are coming nice for you. The thing is, there's so many different ways to do that. My friend Mario from Brazil is actually working on my personal favorite method. He's taken that concept and combined it with some of the nether splits concepts I shared on the old channel, where I explained how I'll take a muscle group and I'll attack it one day. And then I'll attack it again the next day, and then I might even attack it again the next day, using all different intensity technique methods 3 different days in a row to just dig in and tear the shit out of that muscle group. Then I'll let it rest for a bunch of days, and the accumulation of those 3 workouts is like the one most ultimate badass beyond anything you've ever seen workout. That's the message those muscles are getting. What my friend Mario's doing is he's doing 2 days in a row per muscle group. The first day is like the HIT day, where it's low volume, max power, max intensity, and the next day's volume day on the same muscle group. Then he moves on to the next muscle group for 2 days. Now, he's gonna name. I'm gonna hopefully get him to name it, and then maybe he can share it or I'll share it or something down the line when he's having a little more time to show some of the results and so forth. But it's fucking brilliant, is what it is. It's taking the best of two totally different concepts that add to your gains and putting them together. So for me personally, that is the way I would cycle that. Okay, I do the HIT day first on that muscle group, and the next day I do the volume day on the same muscle group, and then I'd move on to the next muscle group. You're just getting the best of a variety of things doing it that way. If you want to combine both forms of training into the same training phase you're in. Now, one thing I've also done before now, during a stage when I had the time for it, I did like 3-hour workouts every day for about a year and a half that were all light to moderate weight, really high volume, 30 to 60 sets per muscle group. It was always one muscle group per day, sometimes two, because I would do like push-pull. So that would take 30 sets and make it 60. Other days I do 60 straight sets on one muscle group. I did that for 18 months, and it was an instinctive version of what is called nucleus overload training. I didn't know that at the time. I hadn't looked around on the internet and found that there were people who had also realized something along the same lines and been applying and using it. But that's what you could call it. It was my own version of nucleus overload. 18 months straight. And I'm glad I did it, because now I don't have time for things like that. And I'm getting much better gains now because I put in all that nucleus overload training when I had the time for it. So you can do things in stages like that. The reasons most people won't is because their ego is too scared to not be lifting heavy weights. They're afraid that they're weak if they're not lifting heavy weights in every workout or every week. They think they're losing something. Now, I wasn't limited by those kind of limited thoughts, so I just did 18 months of light to moderate weight, high volume stuff. And then I shifted into a power phase and got the best gains in strength and mass I've ever had, by far. And I made gains during that nucleus overload high volume. I made decent, like pretty good gains during that time. And then I made even better gains when I went into the way I prefer to lift, which is lifting heavy ass shit, okay? Better gains than I ever had made before doing that, because now I had a lot of nucleus activity added to my muscles from that 18 months doing nucleus overload, okay? So those are my thoughts on that for now. Many more revelations down the line, no doubt. Okay, next question. Much love, thank you. Okay, next question. Nutrition or supplement when you get hurt and got inflammation? Any suggestions? Turmeric, yeah. There's many. There are so many amazing anti-inflammatory supplements, herbs, substances, and foods in the world. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. You can Google it and find a huge list of those things, and yes, it's true. What most people don't realize is that the other half of that coin, and in some of your cases the bigger half of that coin, is eliminating the shit from your life right now that you're allergic to and you don't realize it, and it's causing systemic inflammation all through your body all the time. Society is absolutely rampant with inflammatory conditions. Everybody's got inflammation all around in their body. What's that mean? It means Rome's burning. It means if you look at yourself close on a molecular level, there's chaos. The city's on fire. You can get away with it for a while, but eventually it gets to the point where it's called a disease, right? Every known disease that everybody's so scared of, it's all wrapped up in a big pile of inflammation, isn't it? So we know that inflammatory conditions, when they get bad enough, it becomes disease. So obviously anything anti-inflammatory in your diet and lifestyle is truly beneficial to your longevity and your well-being. Even your brain inflammation goes down, and then you become more intelligent and more useful to yourself, okay? So study inflammatory foods, and I forget what these systems are called because I don't read much. There's some kind of food testing systems out there where you can figure out the things you're allergic to and learn all the common items in your day-to-day life that are fucking you, okay? That you eat on a normal basis, eat, drink, or whatever. If you eliminate all those and you apply any number of the things that you can read about out there that are anti-inflammatory, you're going to get way better results, okay? And it's priceless. Not only will all your athletic abilities go up a lot when you're not fighting with a body that's suffering in multiple forms of inflammation, but your whole life, your whole mind, body, spirit, well-being, your perception, your consciousness, everything gets a lot better. Many doors are open for you because now it's possible for you in your own mind because you feel that much better. So that's my thoughts on that for now, my friends. Next question. Do you think you can get big with only using gymnastic rings to build your body? Well, you can definitely get an awesome upper body. With only gymnastic rings, I have a little trouble imagining a lot of good leg exercises. I'm not saying it couldn't be done. I'm sure it could if that was one's ultimate goal. However, I'd recommend just, dropping to the ground and making it easier on yourself for the leg part of your training. But yeah, absolutely. As far as upper body, gymnasts have some of the best upper bodies, in a lot of cases better than professional bodybuilders as far as I'm concerned. They have the upper body of a top-level bodybuilder from the golden era. So to me, they actually look better and more impressive than modern, bloated, pregnant bodybuilders look. So yes, you can definitely build, for sure, an amazing upper body and core. And, you might want to add in some kind of separate leg training, unless you know some way to build all your legs hanging from just some rings. And if you do, more power to you. All right, so that's my thoughts on that. For sure, man. Best biceps in the world are gymnasts, and they don't do barbells and dumbbells, okay? Best a lot of things. Hell, triceps, shoulders, upper backs. I've seen gymnasts with literally the best upper bodies of anybody, so 2 thumbs up on that idea, definitely. As far as how big you get, eat enough to keep gaining weight and then turn it into muscle up on those rings. If you're up there at 250 pounds doing all those gymnastic moves, my, are you going to have some muscle? You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, moving on. I'm a calisthenics guy trying to planche. Any unconventional ways to increase my arm strength with dumbbells? Thank you for being a little bit specific and saying arm strength with dumbbells. I'm not a gymnastics trainer or anything, so I'm not going to act like an expert, but I can tell you, obviously with a planche, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe your hand placement on most people is sort of a neutral grip. So I would take dumbbells with a neutral grip, a hammer grip, and I would lift them in front of me, heavy-ass dumbbells to build up my front delts here. Because when you're planching, maybe your hands are backwards. If I'm wrong and your hands are backwards, then take dumbbells this way, normal grip, but lift them in front of you. The same plane of motion you're going to be using with this front deltoid when you're holding your whole body up with it, okay? Now, you're not doing heavy single maxes. That's more what the planche itself is. So you want to do bodybuilding type rep ranges when you're doing that. You want to do, maybe 4 good sets of all that effort, failing somewhere between 6 and 12 reps, okay? That would be a way that I would add some mass and strength here. I would also say, never train the shit out of your front delts without doing external rotation work. You can Google external rotation. I recommend Jeff Cavaliere. He has many videos that make it very clear a great variety of exercises you can do to make sure you don't end up with weird shoulder injuries down the line from making the same mistake that so many athletes and bodybuilders and so forth make, strengthening the front side of the shoulder and internally rotating and having no external rotation strength to balance it, and eventually the rotator cuff becomes all fucked up and it's rubbing and grinding, and now you can't do anything because your shoulders hurt. So I would use the dumbbells to build my front deltoid, but I would finish every one of those workouts with 4 sets, equal amount of sets of external rotation. You pick the external rotation exercise, Athlean X, that's Jeff Cavaliere's channel if you don't know. Lots of great demo videos on external rotation exercises over there. I haven't gotten around to doing any videos on external rotation exercises yet on this channel, so I can't reference my own videos. I will get to it at some point, but for now, Can't beat Jeff on that anyway. He's got a lot of really good videos. So check that out. That's my 2 cents on how I would use dumbbells to improve my musculature, where it's going to help me with a planche. All right? And I hope I'm pronouncing that word right. Planche? I don't know, man. I've read it too many times, but I haven't heard it said out loud. So if I'm saying that wrong and I sound goofy, hey, laugh it up. I understand. All right. One more question today, and then we're going to call it for today on these. And I will erase the ones that have been addressed here, and you guys just keep adding your questions on this very same thread. It's the one I'm going to reference next time when we do this again. All right? Do you have any unconventional interesting dumbbell back exercises or row variations? I already do chest-supported rows and croc rows, the conventional stuff. Okay, I have no idea if you're familiar with my exercise demonstration playlist, but you can do all the versions of another row with heavy-ass dumbbells. In fact, if you have access to really fucking heavy dumbbells, that'd be one. It'd be like taking croc rows to an entirely more evolved level of better gains. Okay? So if you haven't yet, go watch my demonstration videos on what another row is, because I promise you, there's no other exercise out there yet invented that has the potential and the ability to add that much thickness to your upper mid back area. Okay? Nothing. I don't care what anybody says. There's some other great exercises. None of them have the potential this one. If you can understand what another row is and what it allows you to do and how to use it right, you can get the most gains in your mid upper back of anything. And it could absolutely be done really well with heavy dumbbells. So that's what I'd point you at for now. Much love, everybody. Thank you for the questions so far for the first Q&A. It took about 5 minutes for these to get posted. So I'll do the next one when things align right and I have the right timing and so forth. In the meantime, as I said before, whoever timestamps this, you can get a free Nether Better upgrade from me, or you can pick the next video topic that you'd like me to do a video on. Anything that you think's related to this channel, and I'll make a video about it. Okay? All right. Much love and respect and appreciation, even for those of you that I find contrary, and I have to be contrary back myself. I still appreciate you. This provides angles of thought for different people to consider for themselves, okay? So it's all good. That being said, I got to get on to slaying the rest of this day. Over and out for now, Jedis. The Force is with you.